Now that we are in the design dashboard, let me go ahead and show you some of the basics of the tools and features, and then we'll pass this off over to Phil and start designing that social media graphic. So when we come in here, you see a couple different layouts. We have a menu bar on the left-hand side, a menu bar at the top. We have some pre-made templates and our main work area. So at the top, if we click on the Canva logo, it's going to take us back to the main dashboard, the first page that we see. We have some file options here that kind of just talks about what we're using, the template. We can resize this design if we're using a business account, save it out and make a copy. We have an undo and redo option. If you make mistakes, you can go ahead and undo your actions, and help if you get stuck with anything. On the right hand side, you see social media Untitled design. If we click on that, this is where we actually name our design, and when we download and export our design, this is what it's going to call the file. So this is where we name our design. We can share this with the different social media platforms. We can download and export this out into different graphic images and PDF formats, and we'll show you that after we recreate the social media graphic for you. We can share this with the public. That way other people inside of Canva can see what you're working on. And then we have our account settings on the right hand side. We have our main design area in the center. And you can see here that we can create multiple pages. So if I click the add a new page at the bottom, we can make another page. And this is really great if you're working on, say, an ebook. You can create one design element and make new pages of that ebook and keep working on it. I can also make a copy, which is also very nice. I can delete this page if I need to. And if I click on the number and drag it, I can actually reorder the pages how I see fit. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that out. In the bottom right hand corner, we have a presentation view that we can use, and we can zoom in and out. I'm going to zoom out one time just so we can see everything a little easier. Now let's go ahead and look at some of the templates on the left hand side. You see these templates that we can use, and this is one of the most powerful tools of Canva, and something that we'll be using a lot in this course is the fact that we can pick one of these pre-made templates, and designers have made these with graphic design theory principles in mind, so they automatically look really good, and all we need to do is maybe change out the text or change out the images, but we already have a basic layout of what we're going for. Now if we hover over these, you're going to see a little info icon appear. If we click on that, it'll just tell you what the name of this template is, who created it. It shows that it's $1. So if you pick this one, you're actually going to have to pay $1 to use it. And then you can see some keywords at the bottom that if you were searching in the top search bar at the top, these are some keywords that would pull this template up. So let's talk about the payment methods on Canva. Everything that is not for free costs $1. So whether that be a template, a photograph, or a design element, they are $1. So it's very cheap to get some high quality graphic design artwork and photographs inside of your images. Whenever you go to download or export these out, it will give you a prompt to put in your credit card information and make a payment depending on how much you've used for paid elements. And they also have some bulk pricing that you can get credits with and save some money that way. So I'm going to exit this out. So if I hover over this, you see the little dollar sign. That denotes that this is going to cost $1. If we look at the one down at the bottom, you can see that it says for free. So if we use this template, it's not going to cost us anything. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on that one time. And when I do, you can see here that it pops it immediately into the main work area, and I can just click on this text or click on this image and start making changes and edits immediately. So I'm going to click on the text here, and it just works like normal text. I can take this out and put in my own text or my own quote. I can change the font type. I can change the font size. I can change the font color. I can delete this text block if I need to. And then there's some more options for the text, such as bold, italic, uppercase, using a list, left, center, and right justified, text spacing. I can make a copy of this text block. I can make a link if I'm using like a PDF and I want to have a link inside the PDF. We can do that also. And then I can control the transparency. There's also some layer options where I can move the design elements and the text blocks forward and backward depending on how I want that to look inside of my design. Now if I click on the photograph in the background, I have some of the same things going on here. I can copy it, I can move it forward and back and delete it and create a link or transparency of that image. And then at the bottom you see there are filters. I can crop the image, I can change this out to a color if I wanted to, I can delete it, and I can flip it horizontally and vertically. Now the filters work just like Instagram filters or any other type of photograph application filters, where they have a lot of presets where if I click on these, it'll automatically start changing them out for me. Now if I want individual control, I can click on Advanced Options, and here you can see I can control each of these parameters such as brightness, contrast, saturation, tint, and so on. Another great thing is that I can save this filter code. So if I have 4 or 5 different photos in my design element, but I want them all to have the same kind of look and feel, I can apply the same filter code to all of those images and get that same kind of look, which is also a great function inside of Canva. Now, before I talked about you're able to duplicate these pages. So if I'm creating an ebook, I can create one standard look and then hit the copy button. It'll copy that page for me, and now I can just change out this text or any other elements, and it makes it really easy to create things such as books, which I really like a lot. I'm going to go ahead and delete that out. Okay, so there are just thousands and thousands of templates inside of Canva, and depending on what type of design layout you chose, you're going to get different types of templates. So when we pull up a Facebook cover image or a Twitter post, they're going to look different because they're going to be tailored to whatever that actual layout or design layout is. Now on the left hand side, there's a search bar, so we can go ahead and search Canva's database, which is thousands of images and graphic design elements. We have our layouts, which we've already looked at. Then we have our elements button, and this is all the different types of elements that we can recreate inside of Canva. So the first is free photos. There's a lot of free stuff in this program that you can use, so don't be worried thinking that you're going to have to pay a lot of money for a bunch of images. Even though they're $1, there's still a lot of free content that you can use also. So we can drag and drop these images into our design element very quickly. It pops it in there for us, and we can start designing right away. Now, if this image isn't where we want it to be, if we double left click, it'll pull up a little overlay, and we can slide this around to where we want it. So it makes it really easy to come in here, add images, and change out whatever it is that we're looking for. Next is grids. So let me go ahead and delete some of these blocks. And when I click on grids, these are some pre-made layouts that also make it very easy to create some really cool customized images inside of Canva. So if I click and drag this one, it gives us 4 separate blocks. Now there's a couple things I can do here. I can click on this bottom left block and then click this image and change it to a solid color if I want to. Now if I go up to the top and I click on a free photo, I can do the same thing that I was showing you a minute ago, and I can start clicking and dragging images into these grids. So it just makes it very easy for us to create some really cool, unique design layouts. And there's a lot of these different types of grid layouts, so you can do, you can really get creative and do all kinds of neat things with them. After that, we have frames. Let me go ahead and delete this out. Frames work the same as grids, except for they're scalable. So where grids take up the whole block and you can drop in different elements in there, the way that a frame works is that these are scalable. So I can just click and put this in here, and I can scale it to any size that I want. So now that we have this here, I can go back up to my photos, and when I drop a photo in, it's going to drop it into that frame. But again, I can scale that frame to whatever size I want and get some other really cool graphic design techniques going on here. After that, we have shapes. So these are just very basic graphic design shapes. Some of them are pretty complex, but they're just usually 2D illustrations that you can use. When I click on this, it pops it in. I can scale it. A lot of these you can change the colors. Some of them you cannot, but most of them you can change different colors and attributes of them. I can scale this. I can rotate it around if I need to. When I start moving around, you're going to see some different types of purple lines popping up, and these are guidelines to help you get everything centered. So if I put it where I see both of these lines here, you can see that this is the dead center of this graphic design element. If I bring in another one, and I start moving it around, it'll start trying to line it up to that graphic element. So if you can see that line there, it's actually trying to find different parts of the graphic design element of that circle and line this triangle up to it to get some good spacing. So we can see that those are equidistant apart. So those are our symbols, or I'm sorry, our shapes. After that, we have some basic lines. They work just like the shapes, but they're just basic lines that you can use to create any type of margins or page breaks. Illustrations, these are the ones that are going to be a little more complex than the shapes. Again, a lot of these give you the ability to go ahead and change out the colors. So this is a really cool option where we can get really customizable with our branding. Then we have icons. Icons are just kind of more popular type of icons that you would see using the internet. And again, you can change out the colors of these. Then we have charts. So these are great for infographics. So if we want to show percentages or any type of graph type artwork, these work really good. And then finally, we have an I Love Canva section. So if you want to show your love for Canva in one of your designs, you can definitely do that also. We also have a text on the left-hand side where we can drop in some standard text. We can also hit T on the keyboard, so that allows us to go ahead and add in some text. And I showed you how to change out some of those text properties. Let me go ahead and delete this out. We also have some pre-made typography and text elements which look really great, so I can click on any of these and it allows me to go ahead and start changing out some of the parameters the same way that I would change out a layout or a template. We also have backgrounds, so this will go to the very back of the design elements. You can't put anything behind these, and most of these you can also change the colors. So if I don't like this blue but I like the lines, I can go ahead and change this out to different colors, which is awesome, and they've got a ton of these. And then finally we have uploads, so I can upload my own images, whether that be from my desktop or if I have a multi-use license I'm using, or if I want to upload Facebook photos, I can also do that here. So that is the basics of the design dashboard. Now that I've shown you how to get around and use some of the functionality of it, let's go ahead and pass it over to Phil and let him show you how to start creating that social media graphic.